Hello, all you theater lovers, both out and proud and on the DL, and welcome back to Broadway Breakdown, a podcast discussing the history and legacy of American theater's most exclusive address. I am your host, Matt Koplik, the most opinionated, least famous of all the Broadway podcast hosts. You are not mistaken. I still have the laryngitis from Ali Gordon's episode. We recorded this in one day. Backstage tea. With me today is a long-time friend of the pod. She's been so overdue. Like Norma Desmond, she's come home at last. She recently had a show at Joe's Pub, Mad Scenes. She is a Drama Desk and Lucille Ortel nominee. Either they made a mistake or she made a mistake coming on here. We're going to figure out which one of them it was. Please welcome back, friend to everyone, Natalie Walker.
Yes! The Drama Desk made a mistake, honey. That's the only mistake that's been made.
The
powers that be have no idea what they've wrought.
They're so
by opening a door to me.
I'm gonna say one
thing. This is where I belong.
Natalie Walker got nominated for Big Gay Jamboree, and Gray Henson got nominated for Elf at last year's Drama Desks. And I texted both of these people, and I said different things. There was a person that Natalie Walker absolutely bumped off that list, and I was thrilled, and I won't say who, but I said to Natalie, thank you for your service. And Gray got nominated, and I said to him, you're welcome, because I spent the entire year after Elf being like, Gray needs to be nominated for shit for this. And then he was, and I was like, you're very welcome. So just know, Natalie, you did that for yourself, but I helped Gray.
That's true. That's true. But you did it for me, too.
Well, yeah, I did sing your praises, but you didn't need my help. Like, the gays on Broadway World also were like, so someone was like, oh my God, like the blonde girl in Big Gay Jamboree stole the show. And someone's like, it's Natalie Walker, no surprise. I was like, how dare you know what I've known for 20 years?
She's in disguise.
She's in a blonde wig disguise, acting so dainty. And then when I remember talking to you about it after the first time I saw it, and I was like, are you doing Megan Hilty as Marilyn Monroe in Smash? And your eyes lit up because you're like, you're kind of right and you're kind of wrong. You said you were doing Jane Powell as Marilyn Monroe, correct? No, not Jane Powell.
Jane Russell.
Jane Russell.
In Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. It's like, it's both. But then the singing is purely Megan Hilty and Let's Be Bad.
Yes.
Whenever there was singing stuff going on, and then most of the spoken stuff was Jane Russell's impression of Marilyn and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Yes. I felt very
mixed with like an alien. Realistically.
Yeah,
like
alien
the accent sort of snowballed into
girl, accents are hard.
Knows.
After the cast of Punch at Manhattan Theater Club, accents are hard. Okay. Natalie, what are we talking about today?
Oh, we're talking about The Great Comet of 1812, the brilliant comet of 1812. Natasha, Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, which I think on Broadway was just The Great Comet, but it will always be the long title to me.
It was still technically called Natasha Pierre, but similar to how we call it Sunday in the Park or Les Mas, it became Great Comet. They had branding to do. They had moms from Jersey to appeal to, so they were like, we're not giving you a whole.
Of course, yeah, they're not going to remember all the names.
No, people
names,
barely remember the
names and numbers. Come on, too much.
Too much. And items, my God. Nouns, names, and numbers. No, thank you. Those are three N's I cannot get behind. But you're an N I can get behind. That also sounded incredibly racist.
Nope. Goodbye. Run it back. Already off the rails. Already perfect recording. Already.
Oh, God.
The episode is over.
I'm going to get my next 1-star rating after this. My God.
We did it.
I am going to quickly read the synopsis as per Concord Theatricals of Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812. And then we're going to get into this motherfucker. Set in Moscow. In 1812, Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 is a vibrant electro-pop opera adapted from a scandalous 70-page slice of Tolstoy's War and Peace. Young Natasha Rostova arrives in Moscow while her fiancé Andrei is away at war and falls under the spell of the charming but reckless Anatole. As Natasha's world unravels, her fate becomes entwined with that of Pierre Besukov. They never say Pierre's last name in the musical, but it's Besukov, I think. Yeah, okay, great. A weary aristocrat searching for meaning in a chaotic world. That's not too shabby. Natalie, I must love you or die. How did Great Comet come into your life? How did it enter your chat?
Great Comet came into my life because of a shared connection of ours. Shayna Taub, now Tony Award winning writer of stuffs, actress. Yes, yes. Um, we went to stage door with her. She was like a senior when we were freshmen, kind of was the vibe. And she was the lead of the very first show that I did at Camp Jekyll and Hyde. And I just remember thinking she was the coolest, most talented person alive. And she would play our rehearsals on the MD's off days and stuff. So I was just like, this is the most talented woman who's ever lived. And she graduated from NYU, and then I was always going, what is Shayna up to? Shayna's the most talented person. Like, what's she doing now? And so the fall after I graduated college, I see that she's doing this show that I'm like, what the hell is this title? And it's at a tent downtown. It's in a tent. What the heck is this? But I'll go see it because I have been so desperate to know what she's been up to since she graduated. Um, and I went not knowing anything. I didn't even know it was a War and Peace adaptation. I just went, I'm here for Shayna Taub. She had replaced Kelsey Bell as Mary. And I sat there and the doors shut and there was like a rush of cold air into the tent. And then it started and I just lost my whole mind. I had spent most of college going, musical theater is not for me anymore. New musical theater is not for me. I'm just not seeing things that grip me. I'm not seeing performers, new performers. The performers I was already obsessed with, I continued, Audra. Um, but I just nothing new had really taken hold of me that way. And then I sat there, Phillipa Soo, Dave Malloy had left by that point. So I saw David Abelese and I thought he was incredible. And Grace McLean really said, I am for you. I know you and I know what you like. And here it is. And I went insane. But yeah, and then I just could not get enough. I rushed it a million times. It also got to a point where my friends and family members would just, like, when it was my birthday or Christmas, they would just be like, here, go see Great Comet. Like, here's to Great Comet again. Because I just fell so in love with the world of it, all of the voices, the music of it. It was just such a lightning in a bottle thing that really was the beginning of me falling back in love with musical theater and seeking out the more off the beaten path, less commercial songwriters and creators of musical theater that I realized, oh, these people are around. They're just not being produced on the Broadway stage. And knock, knock, Natalie, Broadway is not the end all and the be all of musical theater or art. And yeah, it was a very immersive, eye-opening, transformative experience for me. And I was fully a stan. I was Great Comet to me was what Timothy Chalamet is to Club Chalamet. I know her real name. It's Simone, but for anyone listening who's not as chronically online as I am.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay,
So that's
great.
it.
That's it. That's what it is. Comet entered my chat similar timeline to you. I did not know Shayna was actually in it. I had heard about Great Comet when it was in the meatpacking district. We'll get into more like the origins of all this guys in a second. Obviously, Great Comet began at Ars Nova in 2012. They then move it about a year later to this tent casino in the meatpacking district that they had personally designed for the production. And all summer long, people were telling me to go see Great Comet. And I'm like, if there's one thing you don't do to Matt Coppola when it comes to theaters, you tell him he has to see something because I am a child this way. I'm like, I don't want to now. So Great Comet, it was a lot of people who I didn't necessarily appreciate their opinions going, I've never seen anything like it. You gotta go. And I went, okay, basic. And then the rush policy, I think, was in person at the time. So, because when it was in the meatpacking district, it was a pretty hard ticket. I remember because it ended, I think, like that September of 2013, something like that. But so I go towards the end of the run, and Dave had left. Who you had seen, I think, had left because so I saw Scott Strangland. Is that how you say his name?
Stingland. Yeah.
Strangland.
He's
Scott Strangland.
incredible. Was also just in Three Houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. So he was my Pierre. And everyone else was in the show except for Kelsey, who became Shayna Taub at that point. And I remember going and seeing the program and going like, oh my God, Shayna Taub, that's amazing. And I remember watching it. And I was impressed with the cast. I fully fell in love with Phillipa Soo, and I intend to talk a lot about her performance in that as we move forward. And I remember thinking it was really inventive. The crazy thing was, I walked out. I think I appreciated that. I don't know if I loved it. And then talk was coming of like what might happen with it. It's going to go to Broadway, whatever. And they announced that they're going to do Midtown. They're going to do the tent again in Midtown. And I keep sort of like saying to people, yeah, like all the ways in which I admired but didn't love it. And one of my friends was like, for a show you claim you didn't love, you sure do talk about it a lot. I was like, huh, you're right. Because I wasn't even like shit talking it. I was just kept analyzing it. And like, it's one thing.
And remembering specific moments of it.
1000%. Yeah. It's like, they're like, this is not a Finding Neverland, eventually Paradise Square situation where like, this is your punching bag. You are talking about the show in a way that it sounds like you love it, or at the very least, like it's sticking with you. And I went, maybe I should go back. So I go back to the tent. And at some point in between Downtown and Midtown, the cast album came out, and I'm like devouring the cast album. So I go back a second time in the tent. I'm like, oh, no. This is very phenomenal. And then I eventually took my mom for a third time. And by that point, I knew the show really well. And I have a very distinct memory of sitting at a table with her at the exact right next to where Phillipa Soo sat for Letters. And luckily Letters is an easy song to like mouth along to. But I clearly was like one of the few people around Phillipa who knew the words. And I wasn't making a show of it. I was just like enjoying it. And I whisper something tender to myself, mouthing the words. And Phillipa Soo, Pippa to those of us who don't know her, pointed at me with her feather and was like, yeah, you, knowing the words. And I was like, yeah. And then I saw it on Broadway, and that was the only time I saw it on Broadway. And then I only rewatched it at the library this week. And I have thoughts about the Broadway production, Natalie. Positive, and I won't say negative, but things that for me were not as good as in the tent. I just realized, by the way, I don't have my notebook with me of my notes from the library, so I will get that at some point during the break. And I'm not wearing pants, so you will have to make do with this moment of sexual harassment. Oh, no. Okay.
We love to see it.
We love to see it. So for those of you who do not know, Great Comet is the masterwork by one Mr. Dave Malloy, book, music, and lyrics, and it is indeed adapted from a 70-page chapter for War and Peace. This came about because Dave Malloy was sort of an up-and-coming musical theater writer in New York, mostly known for experimental work. Had done a few things with Rachel Chavkin as well. Her husband had worked with Malloy, and he was like, oh, he's weird, you're weird, do weird things together. And they did a piece based on Schubert called Three Pianos. That's the first thing I can find in my research that they worked on together. But what really kind of launched Comet was Malloy had done a piece called Beowulf, 1,000 Years of Baggage, based on, Anna Karenina. And well, it's based on Beowulf. And Ars Nova saw that and said, hey, do you want to be our artist in residence for the year? You can, and as anyone knows who's an artist in residence, the thing is, you have to write something. It can be anything you want and they will put it up. But like, you do have to write something. It's not like hey, do you want money for the year? It's like, no, you got to give us something. Yeah. So he had read War and Peace while he was working on a cruise ship. And he had always felt that this specific chapter would make a great musical because people have a hard time adapting really large works. We talked about Les Mis in the past, and I'm a big Les Mis defender, but I get why people don't like it. It does not get all the nuances of the novel. It can't. And so Malloy is like, well, what if we took 70 pages and like went in depth on that? And Ars Nova said yes, and they do it. And their immersive 80-seat production with the entire original company that would go to Casino, mostly to Broadway as well. And from what I could recall, so you didn't see it at Ars Nova. You saw it specifically at Casino, right?
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I saw
Yeah, okay.
Meatpacking
So
Casino.
there's not a lot of footage of Ars Nova. There's 90 seconds of the prologue and a couple of photos, and the aesthetic is similar, but obviously, like with each iteration, there's more money. Most importantly, it was purely the principals. There was no ensemble. It was just the 10 or 12 principals. There were rewrites between Ars Nova and Casino. I did not know this. No one else was not in the Ars Nova production, as far as I'm aware. That was added for Casino
wow.
for Phillipa Soo.
Yeah.
Which is,
I mean,
which why that song's so fucking hard to sing because her voice is a freak.
is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. They would make like other alterations. One of the sticking points that Malloy talked about in an interview was what's the song called with Andre's family? It's the house,
Private and intimate life
of the house.
of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the more worked on pieces because it was it was longer, it was sort of secluded, and a review had called it like a narrative cul-de-sac. And Malloy read that. He was like, "Oh, you're right. It does kind of go on for too long for something that seems so separate." And so he shortened it. He added Natasha sooner into it. And yeah, they go from downtown to midtown. They then go to Ars Nova to see how they can work in a proscenium production. They then finally open in 2016 at the Imperial, without Dave Malloy, but with Josh Groban, without Phillipa Soo, but with
They don't go to Ars Nova. They go to ART.
But did I say Ars Nova?
Yeah, you did.
God,
but I knew what you meant, but just for the kids at home.
For the kids. It was
and
the
that's
AR
why you get a scholar. That's why you get a scholar to talk to a scholar. Because I know what he meant. I know what he meant.
This is why I don't like recording alone, guys. This is why I try to do as many combos as I can. Yes, ART, American Repertory Theater. That's where they did we're not going to call it an out-of-town tryout. It was like an expensive workshop to see how it would work in a more traditional space.
Yes. It was a lab.
It was a lab. And when they got to the Imperial, it's kind of like a combo of the two. They took what they learned at ART and put it at the Imperial, but kept a lot more of the immersive stuff from Casino. And it got very strong reviews, 12 Tony nominations, only winning 2 at the time because that was the year of Dear Evan Hansen. And then they closed. I know, we will talk. My other hot take is
I just breathed. I only breathed.
You only breathe. It's fine. But a breath from Natalie Walker is fire from anyone else. My hot take is, I will say, I do think that is the last great Best Musical lineup at the Tonys that we've had, especially because they're all so different from each other. So even if there's one you don't like, you can't be like, Great Comet does exactly what Dear Evan Hansen does. Like, they do very different things.
Yeah, no, that year was, looking back, it's crazy.
And it says a lot about me that my 2 favorites that year are Great Comet and Groundhog Day, because
Groundhog Day rules.
Right?
It rules.
It rules.
I'll say it. It rules.
It rules. I did a deep dive on Come From Away with Lauren Chapman. I'm a defender of that show. It is treacly, but it does work, and you don't appreciate treacly working until you see treacly not working. Yeah, and Dear Evan Hansen, I think most of us have an appreciation for the musical now that the movie exists. And like, the musical is better.
Yeah.
I don't think Dear Evan Hansen has the score of Great Comet, and at the very least, and the orchestrations especially. So I don't think I'm speaking out of school. I don't think anyone's gonna get mad at me for that, but we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that. Stop distracting me, Walker. I have things to get to. Okay, Natalia, if you had to pick a song from the show where it's like, this is, you get one song out of the score to put in your Desert Island playlist, what would it be?
I think it's going to be The Duel. I love that entire sequence. It's like kind of cheating because I think The Duel involves the entire like party. Let me the world.
Yeah, I think so. That might be.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Right. Yeah.
The Duel is everything, and oh man, there's so much. The doctors warn me that with my corpulence vodka, but I drink a great deal.
You drink it, old man.
Oh God, it's so delicious. All of the little you just get so much I mean, talking about Les Mis, like it feels one day more adjacent to me, almost in that like you really get a little flavor of what every person in that sequence is going through, and it I just adored it
Mm.
so much. And Amber Gray. I
Remember Gray.
mean, that voice, oh God.
Eartha Kitt is
It
alive and
was
well with Amber
so,
Gray.
yeah, like the duel I think is just is really remarkable, and I listened to the Off-Broadway version of it so much because that was really the greatest combination of like insane voices all doing something that is musical theater, as
Mhm.
opposed to the sort of more homogenized uh new musical theater sound I had grown accustomed to seeing on stage at that time. Just all of these fascinating idiosyncratic sounds all coexisting and creating this whole. I really was so bowled over by the sonic landscape of that, and I just love all of the orchestration of that. um but really, like the whole score, it's just,
Yeah.
I really go through random hyperfixation avenues of it. Like if you talk to me in 2 months, I'll probably have another one that is really sticking in my brain. Um, but I do just love the infectious joie de vivre
Mhm.
of that sequence too. It was just such a breath of fresh air. Um, that sequence in particular.
No,
But
and
then
I
all the
think that's
solos,
fair.
I just like. I mean, no one else is crazy. The light hitting her at the top of no one else. Bradley King,
Fr
King
He's the king.
indeed, King indeed. When
King
that light
indeed.
hit her, I went zoom.
Boop. No, we
The moon,
yeah,
but
there's
crazy.
an argument to be made about this just being a 9-hour deep dive on the entire score because there is so much to discuss. This is why we have lengthier episodes than most Broadway podcasts, because how can one talk about the origins of this show and the reception of the show and the score and the characters and like things about War and Peace that I had to read about after the fact because like get more information on this and like the careers of that this show launched and have this be what 20 minutes? Fuck that in the ear. Uh I mean, No One Else is an incredible song. Phillipa Soo, I do not want to say name names, but it's happened with a couple of different people, and I realized that they all had a similar narrative with Phillipa, which is that there are a few gay men in my life who are involved in theater. They're actors or they're music directors. They did not see her in Great Comet. Their introduction to her was either Hamilton or Amelie, or the Camelot slash Cameltoe, as I call it, that production in particular. And would say you sit with friends and there's a difference between being on this podcast right now is we're trying to be eloquent and we're trying to come out different sides. And if we don't like something, we want to say so in a way that's respectful because no one wants to be doing a bad show. But like when you're alone with friends and you're drinking, like gets said. It's the duel. And Gay's telling me like after seeing her in Amelie or Hamilton, me like, I don't get it. I don't get her. And I'm sitting here going, you did not see Great Comet. And
No.
I cannot tell you the multitudes this woman contains because, like, lovely as she is in Hamilton, Eliza is not as good a role as Natasha. Amelie
Right.
is Amelie. Like,
Yes.
Natasha it's such a phenomenal role, and it was so perfectly tailored for her. And it was one of those things where, like, I can't describe the feeling of seeing someone so perfectly suited for a role that shows off all of their talents that you've never seen before. A woman you've never seen
Yes.
before. And just like
Yes.
and it's not just her performance, the whole show works. So it's not like she's
Yes.
carrying it, everything bolsters everybody. So I said that's what it is, and it's ultimately that I have not seen her be in anything that has used her as effectively, and I would love to see that happen. Like, she's about to be in High Spirits at Encores, which is fun, but, like, she's playing in the Wet Blanket Wife, like, let's get Phillipa Soo to play a
She's
warmer blanket.
so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that performance as Natasha is it was everything you had eh, forgotten that an ingenue type of role could be.
Yeah.
That Natasha, because he condenses it to those 70 pages, it she is allowed to be beautiful and innocent and infuriating and judgmental and all of the things that a young woman coming into her own is. And she doesn't have to be perfect, sweet girl. Like, it doesn't have to get flattened out the way that it might if you're doing the whole thing, and then it's you're going, okay, well, we can only be mad at her for 2 minutes of the runtime, and then she has to immediately atone
Yeah.
for her sins. It's really beautiful to stay in that place, to stay in that agony of going, oh no, this is not going to end well. And we have to wait because, like, she's still in the part where she doesn't know, she can't see that it's not going to end well. And this is not a good guy.
Yeah.
And then, but because she was so magnetic and found humor in parts that you might not expect there to be humor in a role like that, and sounded like she sounded and
Right.
looked like she looked. It was just this perfect storm of just I have never in my life, Tyra Banks, but positive. I have never in my life rooted for an ingenue like this.
Mm.
And I was going crazy. I was like, I love this girl.
No.
I freaking love this girl. And who is she? And we don't know.
No. I,
And yeah, it's just it was an astonishing
performance. Yeah.
entree to theater. And
Yeah.
I just was like, this is one of the greats. Instant one of the
Yeah.
greats.
I will. I'm going to talk about Phillipa for a little bit right now, and I will tie it to Danae and the Broadway production eventually. But with Phillipa as Natasha, when sometimes I'll tell people, so like sometimes I get listeners who are writing or listeners who are auditioning for stuff and they'll ask me for advice. And a few times I've had young women ask me, oh, I'm going in for Anne in A Little Night Music, and you've talked about how like tricky that role is. What advice do you have? And I always say, watch Alicia Silverstone in Clueless. Watch how she is, and then try to apply that to 19th century Sweden. Like, take that mentality, which is ultimately what Phillipa did as Natasha, which was like, everything was very real for her. And everything was high stakes, everything was important. So her Natasha was funny to us, not because she was like, ain't that funny, but it was the ridiculousness of this young woman and all the things that she thought were important and how wrapped up she got in this romance. And like, I remember when
The way she played the meeting with Mary.
Yeah.
Like that, there is a moment of like her being audience surrogate and being like, this girl is weird.
Yeah.
and the other side of that, of Mary being like, this woman is so obsessed with herself. And
Yeah.
like just that clash, it was so perfectly played. And the way that Dave Malloy
Yeah.
did that vocal writing of it just being the crunchiest, atonal, when you realize that it's on purpose. Because like when that note started at Casino, I went, who's off? And then I went, no, you sly dog.
Yeah.
You've done it again. I don't know you yet, but you've somehow done it again.
You've done it again for the first time in my life, but I know it's not your first. It's because I remember the way that Shayna played Mary, I remember was so dead face and like pious.
Yes.
But and so it was like if Gollum went to church. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
Like she was a little slunched
Very
over.
much so. Yes.
And yeah. And
if Gollum went to church is incredible.
Thank you. And Phillipa as Natasha, like, it was very like, who is this girl? While also being like, I am a countess. And so they're like, there was a posture about her, there was a posterity. And so it was like sort of when staring at Shayna, she'd be like, and then looking over, being like, the fuck. And that was always very funny. But also, and I just remember after Letters, when she gets Anatole's letter and she goes, yes, I love him. How else could I have his letter in my hand? And the way she like would whip out and do that, it was all the love in her heart, and the audience would laugh because they were like, oh my God, you teenager.
Yes.
But she didn't comment on being a teenager. She was just like, she's like, I have it. And yes, and also like, role has never been sung better. It's her voice. Like when people talk to me about like what's so special about her voice in Amelie? I'm like, Amelie's not special. Listen to, I'm like, so the song that I've been listening to a lot, and I have listened to the Broadway recording a bit for this episode since it's the most up-to-date version of the score. But when push comes to shove, I listen to the Off-Broadway, and I listen to the opera a lot.
Yes. That in the same mode as the duel. It's just like you're getting all of these sounds, and
That's why I
it's
didn't
just
clock
so
you for being like,
delicious.
it's a lot of songs. Like, girl, wait till you hear what my song is.
It's just so delicious. Bare arms and shoulders. Oh,
and the
hundreds of eyes.
Hundreds of eyes. I mean, that's so you were talking about sort of
also
Natasha.
You get all the girlies. You get all the girlies in that one, and that's so delicious. Yeah, the duel for me is like the combination of sounds, and like it just gets stuck in my head in a way that I'm like, I need to hear that bomb, 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 bomb. Like I need to hear it. But the opera, you truly get, it's just actresses acting through song. Oh,
the hours found dead in a ditch, because this is the hours to me, honey. I'm telling my children it's the hours.
Absolutely.
But
this is the final trio from Taylor Rose and Cavalier.
Yes, and we're gonna say quartet as well. One of them, Sonia, is Kitty, as far as I'm concerned. But but it's Natasha in this point in the novel. So I did have to do some research on War and Peace. There's no world in which I'm reading that whole book. I'm sorry, I don't have the attention span. But in the novel, we meet Natasha when she's 13, and then by the time Great Comet happens, she's like 17, 18. And so, she knew Pierre young and then hasn't seen Pierre in many years. She meets Andre when she's 17, and he's 32, 33, we'll let that, which was already a big age difference then. And which is why Andre's father says, you're going to wait a year before you marry this child, because he's like, I know you think this is love. It's just that she's young and hot and thinks you're cool. It's like, wait a year.
A bit of a slay from his dad.
Yeah.
People say he's crazy, but
he may be crazy. People enjoy him, though.
He's got a point.
He ended up being right. Because
he's an icon, he's a legend, and he is the moment.
He is the moment. I was reading a Reddit thread as well. I was like, what do people have to say about War and Peace? And someone made a whole post about this section of the book without knowing about Great Comet. Just being like, Natasha, girl, what's your problem? You've been in love with Andre for almost a full year, and then the week before he comes home, you pull this shit. Like, you had 1 week left, girl. And everyone's like, that's kind of the point, sir. Like, why are you mad at Tolstoy for showing human behavior? Anyway. But she is, when we meet her in Comet, she's the prettiest she's ever been, which I know we all talk about, oh, beauty's skin deep, but no, there's whether you want to agree to it or not, the world does treat people differently when they find them attractive. And especially in a place like Moscow, in this era where it's high society, people know of Natasha's family. She hasn't been seen in many years. So it's sort of like a reintroduction to society of, oh, this girl we all sort of remember by name has just shown up being the prettiest. Played by Phillipa Soo on stage, played by Audrey Hepburn in the movie. That's the kind of pretty we're talking about here, everybody.
Yes.
And she's getting this kind of attention for the first time, and it's intoxicating to her because she is a nice person. She has good intentions, but she's privileged. She comes from a formerly wealthy family, but still a wealthy family of class. People have always been good to her, and getting that kind of attention is a drug. And then with Anatole. You know what? We'll get into the Anatole of it all, because Anatole is a storyline that you either get because you've experienced it once in your life, or you don't get. Yep. And you can analyze it to death all you want to, all the ways in which, oh, they're meant to be, or it's problematic. I'm like, no, it's not. It's neither. It is neither.
Yeah. It's a thing that happens.
It's a thing that happens.
When you meet David Bowie as the Goblin King.
You want to know what the Anatole Natasha storyline of Great Comet is? It's Meadowlark. The whole thing is just Meadowlark.
Yeah. Oh God, Phillipa Soo's Meadowlark.
Where? Give it to me. Why? Yeah.
Consider.
Just
consider.
Consider the lilies. Okay. I'm just going to go into No One Else for a second, because it's just such a beautiful aria, which Dave Malloy has said, oh, that was my version of Andrew Lloyd Webber. I'm like, that's your version of Andrew Lloyd Webber? He's like, yeah, that's my memory. I'm like, compare No One Else to Memory. One is one melody over and over and over again, and you
Yep.
have your leading lady running up and down the track field.
Yep. Yep. But that's beautiful.
Oh,
But
it's
that's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
It's beautiful, but
This
like
is this is
I've
me writing my writing my basic hit.
yeah,
Oh,
I
king.
have a few
I love
friends.
him. What can I
What
say?
is that? I love him. I know
Mhm.
him. He loves me only. Not me trying to sing this whole score with laryngitis, but I have friends who like are phenomenal singers who have tried that song and they
Yeah.
like they eventually get it. But it's like a glitter and be gay. It's like, oh no, this is not something you attempt on a first try. You like build your instrument up to it.
Right. Well, it's also the tessitura is like so treacherous because people don't know where to place it.
Hmm.
And Phillipa Soo just seemed to naturally, it just poured out of her. There was no there was no sense of her negotiating through it, which now even I'll hear brilliant singers do it. But I am going, oh, you're negotiating where you're gonna flip and
Uh-huh.
where and Phillipa Soo, it just was happening
Yeah.
in a crazy way.
I think it's the benefit of the song being written for her, of all the money
Absolutely.
notes were in her sweet spot. So like where her
Yes.
mix is at its beltiest, that's where Dave's like,
Mhm.
well, that's the final note for you and I.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of other women, I'm like, it's like, oh, it's a little too high or it's a little too low for me to do that. And
Mhm.
because like I remember every time I would see Comet, she would do the first Natasha is young in the prologue. And it was like always plays very beautifully, but it was always very light and head voicey. And I was like, oh no, does she have a cold today? Is that final note and no one else gonna come out all right? And of
Mhm.
course it always came out
Every
perfectly.
every
Beautifully,
time.
effortless.
She brings it to every bowl.
Ta-da, still got it. It's just
Mhm.
yeah, why we gagging so? Uh, I'm trying to, like, think of more ways we can get into this. Every time I, like, start a conversation with you, we go down a little rabbit hole, and then we find our way out of it. I'm like, "No, that rabbit hole is supposed to go to another rabbit hole." I don't know, what's like what so for you, Miss
Under
Natalie,
the
you're the
wig,
guest.
there's another wig.
Under the wig, there's another wig. There's a pussycat wig under the other pussycat wig. What is something that you would like to talk about? When I offered you this show, a thing, a song, a person, whatever that you're salivating at the chance to go on mic and just talk about.
Oh gosh. I mean, I just love gossiping about the show, and by gossiping, I mean just, like, hyperfixating on random things from the
Sure.
score. I could truly talk about, uh, that cast for 1,000,000 years.
Mhm.
Um, Grace McLean I guess I'll just get more into Grace because I then was lucky enough to be able to understudy her a few years later. I worked on Alice by Heart and at MCC, and it came about in a very r- roundabout way where Grace was working on her show In the Green about Hildegard von Bingen that was going to be at LCT3. And she was going to be doing a workshop of that was non-negotiable at the same time that Alice was teching and doing its first uh, weekend of previews. And so they were trying to work out at first they thought okay on Alice's part they were like that's non we have to find another cover. We can't we have to find another actor. It wasn't going to be a cover situation at first. And then I got called in for when they were just looking for people to do the Queen track. Um but then after I auditioned, they were like, "Well, maybe huh, maybe it would be okay for this girl to do the first weekend of performances because we could also have her cover Alice." So so that's how that ended up coming about, that then they were like, "Okay, we can have Grace. We can have our cake and eat it too. We'll have Grace still do the role," but then I was hopping in and out of tech while Grace was in and out of in the green workshop. Um, and I got to just watch her build a performance and watch her tailor everything to her very specific skill set, which is, I say specific, which makes it sound like I'm saying narrow, but actually she can do anything. The voice can go anywhere. She just will calibrate it so precisely. The way that she wields her massive range and power, it gets very laser focused, which is so thrilling to watch. And as a human being over that process, that's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing that was asked of both of us, that as I get further from it and work on more shows, I go, that could have been such a nightmare. There is no reason that she had to be as generous with me as she was during that process of walking into tech when I would be on stage as her track. And like she would always be the warmest and kindest when I was hopping off, and it just sort of was a massive lesson to me in, oh, if you are certain of your talent, if you are so good that you know what you bring and you know the work that you do, you don't have to be an asshole to other people because you're threatened, which seems like a very natural lesson to learn. But there are so many people that refuse to treat understudies kindly, to navigate situations like that with compassion for the person on the other side of it. And a lot of it, if you have gone to therapy literally once in your life, you're like, this actually has nothing to do with me and entirely to do with this person feeling anxious, feeling not confident in what they're doing yet. Fine. But Grace is really a person that it's like, oh no, she prepares like a motherfucker, and she is very humbly aware of what she brings to a process, and to get to bear witness to that up close after falling so head over heels in love with her in Comet was insane. Like, another, I would say probably my number two, this would be on my desert island uh song, is oh god,
In My House?
In My House. Yes, it's got to be In My
Yeah.
House. That was something that I could not believe what was happening. I was levitating at every choice. She's just the bee's knees. What can I say?
What can I
She's,
say?
yeah. What can I say? Every time I get to see her, there's some new thing that she is doing that I'm like, and you can do that too? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
her In My House and the Letter to Pierre are that's a combo track I listen to all the time. Ruin at the Door.
Yes.
Ruin at the Door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Good times. I feel like I said this on an episode recently. I can't remember, but I had a breakthrough in therapy recently of the difference between being proud of yourself and bragging. Of just like, it always just comes down to insecurity, because they're both just a factual compliment, but one is a factual compliment dripping with insecurity. You can tell, as you said, it's the feeling defensive and going on the attack of, oh, is this person going to be a threat in any way? Or is my self-esteem being threatened? And then, of course, the problem is some people, it's like, well, if my self-esteem goes below a 9 out of a 10, that I'm threatened. I'm like, 9 out of 10 is like my best day. That is me coming
Yes.
out of the car
Yes.
wash. That is therapy. Like, what do you mean below a 9? But that's also, coming back to this show, that's kind of Natasha. Her self-esteem skyrockets so much that then only the most immediate attention from the most handsome man nearby can really get to her. There's a question to ponder, like, if Andre were around, would Anatole have affected her as such? And I would argue yes.
Yes.
Whether she would have gone through all the stuff she goes through in Act 2, that's another question, because that's just a matter of logistics. But like, the effect Anatole has on her would absolutely happen, because for those of you who don't know the arc of Meadowlark, Patty LuPone describes it at Les Mouches, where you're in a relationship and it's not exactly the best, but it's not exactly the worst. And then all of a sudden comes this hunk, Meadowlark. And that is Anatole. Natasha is a
And
young
he's just
girl.
representative of such a different thing
Yeah.
to her. It's yeah.
Well, it is actual. He is a sexual awakening for her because
Yes.
until
He's
Anatole,
sex and Andre was sweetness.
yeah,
And
in
yeah.
in a world that at large does not like to talk about sex, but specifically in a century where that is not, in a country where that's not really happening,
Mm.
and where sex
It's
and
cold.
sophistication. Yes, it's very cold. Well, there's a way to warm up, but you
Which is a
sex and
big coat.
sophistication do not
Big
they do
fur
not
coat.
mingle. And yeah, fucking under the fur coat. The But like Natasha is this young girl of society who meets a man of prominence who is much older, who is sweet and comforting, and like is love in a more perhaps friendly way. But because she cannot differentiate what love is and the ways that one can love another person, because in the novel, I found out she was in love with someone at a young age as well before she met Andre. She had a childhood love. And then that guy goes away and she forgets all about him. And then in comes Andre. So like Natasha is also very somebody like, you have to be in front of me for me to love you. But so she gets engaged to Andre, who again is much older than she is. And when he has to go away for a year and she meets Anatole, who's probably closer to her age and is dripping with sex, she mistakes the lust she has for love. And he, the experienced predator he is, pounces on that and confuses her. So that way, if she can still think that this is love, she can then give me what I want, which is that undercarriage. And I don't know what any other words to use for a vagina are, Natalie. It's vagina and undercarriage. Front bum. He wants her front bum.
I think it's beautiful. I
Thank you.
think it's beautiful and I love it. And
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna start using it.
It's like, I think my only flaw with Dave Malloy's lyrics is that he could use the word front bum a bit more. Anatole should
Yeah.
say
Let's
it's
bring it in.
exactly. It is essential that I see Natasha and that front bum. Back it up here. But yeah, like and this is I'll tie this a little bit to Broadway for a second, sort of a little snippet of, as much as I really love the show, and I do, I want to make this clear as I nitpick certain things, I want to make it very clear. I love this show, and I think this is one of the top 5 scores of the 21st century. Don't ask me to put them in order. I can't do that. That's a Sophie's choice.
No.
But I got a 5. Broadway, I thought what the best achievement they did was that they were able to capture the energy of the tent in a much larger space. And there were things with a bigger canvas that Chavkin was able to do physically that was really beautiful. And some performances that I actually were sort of mid on in the tent, I thought improved by having to go bigger. Like Britton Ashford did not register for me as Sonia in the tent at first. And then on stage on Broadway, she had to be bigger. I was like, oh, I'm liking this a lot.
Yeah. She's oh man. Oh man. That voice too was one where you're just like she starts and you go, this sound on on Broadway, that's so cool and exciting.
In this economy? No, like every voice in that
I'm
original cast is so unique from each other, which I appreciate.
Yes.
One of the big things for Broadway, and we'll talk about this more later on, is by going for that energy for a bigger room, there were certain things that I felt got a little bit lost. I felt some of the genuine, earnest emotion from the tent specifically, and part of this was Phillipa wasn't a part of it anymore, but like some of that genuine emotion for me kind of started to go away. And I'd seen it with Groban at first, and then seeing it at the library, because at the library it's last week of the run, which is it's a blessing and a curse because the audience is into it, they're attentive. Malloy is Pierre, and I never got to see Dave Malloy play Pierre, and he's incredible. The other thing about it being the last week of the run is like some performers are definitely indulging. It's like we're closing, all the fans are here, the cameras are here. There's a performer or two where I'm like, oh, you're milking this in a way that I'm actually kind of a little turned off now. Like the abduction, I'm convinced, was like twice as long at the library than it normally was.
Right.
But this is to say that I was talking about the emotion. Sorry, I lost my way.
You're less because I see what you're saying, and part of I think the magic that we were talking about in the tents with the character of Natasha specifically is like we are infuriated by her sometimes and just but part of the agony is like that we are so with her. We're so inside of this love, were so in the seduction. You felt like having that intimacy in the tent meant that you felt the sparks between them. You were like,
Yeah.
I'm a voyeur
Yeah.
because like they want to fuck in this opera box and I am, oh,
Yeah.
heavens me. And if you don't have like that sort of like, oh my God, oh my God, this is hot, into, oh no, you think that the lust is love, and no, my heart,
Mhm.
I'm you, and I'm back in high school, and I'm back, and losing that element, the bigger that it got, I think, is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because then it does become more about, okay, well, like the big stuff is more amazing,
Yeah.
but we're not as keyed in, and I think that is actually sort of like the secret special sauce of the
1000%.
piece, is when you really are like, I'm Natasha,
Mhm.
no, or
Well,
I'm Sonia. Like
yeah.
for those two roles, I think it's really important for everyone in the room to be sort of locked in with them, and remembering what it is to be them. And I say, and Pierre too, but I think the Pierre stuff, especially with Dave, when Dave took over during the Broadway run, like you do feel, for me, what's fun about listening to it now, and even then I still had struggles with depression and shit when I saw it then. And so it is like, oh, Pierre, like I feel like this
Yeah.
when he is discussing uh his station in his big opening number
Mhm.
after the prologue. um it is like, oh, I'm this, and I remember what it was to be Natasha, which is fun if you're an adult seeing it, and whereas like the younger people seeing it are just going like, oh, I'm Natasha or I'm Sonia. And
Yeah.
um but yeah, I think it is necessary to be just as locked in on the experience that Natasha is having, to be sort of immersed in that world.
Yeah, and
Um,
it was 2 things I realized, and then we'll
mhm.
take a quick break and continue on with this episode,
And I'll
but
get to see you in your undies.
yes, you will. But part of it was staging and part of it was tone for Broadway.
Mhm.
Obviously having more space, some things had to get restaged, and there are 2 specific scenes with Anatole and Natasha that are imperative to Natasha getting wrapped up in the intoxication of Anatole. One is the opera scene when he goes into the box and they have their tete-a-tete, and the other is the ball that ends the act 1. And because Chavkin and Pinkelton, Sam Pinkelton, everybody, Tony winning Sam Pinkelton, and Tony winning Chavkin, give them both their props. They had Danae Benton and Lucas Steele move all over the ramps and the stages and be a distance a lot. And I get it from a visual perspective, but it kept Casino, Phillipa and Lucas were close to each other a lot, and that was sort of the
Yeah.
danger with, like, you can only get away from him by, like, a foot. So if something gets too hot, you get a foot of safety, and he's gonna find you out again, and that's what kinda kept it, uh, percolating. The other thing is the tone of just it felt for me on Broadway that they and I felt like in the tent, as they got towards the end of the run, people were starting to find ways into their characters that were maybe less sinister and we're trying to find the love in things. Like I remember the last time I saw it in the tent, it was towards the end of the run when Pierre demands Natasha's letters from Anatole. And I remember Lucas Steele like took them out and like quickly kissed them before he gave them to Pierre. And I was like, oh, that's a sweet touch. Like part of him does kind of care for her and like things like that. And then all that got removed when they went to Broadway and it was like, no, no, no. Anatole is a shit. Helene is in on it. Like everything is like, this is a bad choice. We want to project that. And I got that the reason for that, but I also felt that it was important that the audience have more conflicted feelings about it at the onset. Like as you said, when we realize what Natasha's willing to do, which she thinks it's going to be eloping with Anatole, not knowing that he's already married and has no intention of like the marriage isn't going to be valid, and then he's going to fuck her, and then he's going to leave her, and she's going to be ruined. And when you realize what's at stake, you're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But before then, it's not that you're rooting for them so much as you're like, I'm conflicted. what do like, I want this girl to get her zhuzh. I don't know if it's this guy, but
Yes.
he's the
Yes.
one that's doing it for her. So, like, what do I want?
Right.
And yeah, and it just felt like on Broadway, especially watching again on video towards the end of the run, that like everyone's like, no, 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 we want to make it very clear. He's a villain, and you should not want this for her. And I'm like, but then I don't have that tension anymore. And then when the
Yeah.
rug is pulled out from under her at the end, I got less emotional because not that I was judging her so much. I was like, it was obvious to us from the onset, girl, as opposed to in the tent. It was always
Yes.
like, no, I was there with you. I got why you got there.
I got it. You were like, "Well, I really want this guy to fuck me. I think he knows how to do it."
Mhm.
And in this time, you gotta be married to do
Yeah.
it.
And when you've never felt that feeling before, it's very easy to
Yeah.
think that it's love. And
Yes.
when someone you find attractive looks you in the eyes and says, "No, I love you," and like keeps pursuing you to say it, how are you to know that they're lying?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm been there,
I've
done that.
Oh, oh,
Ooh.
oh, ooh, hoo, 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 boy, howdy.
Guys, I know it's hard to
We're
imagine that
smoking. We're
we're smoking, guys.
smoking our fake little
Oh,
cigs.
this is gonna be the Instagram reel that we use
This
to
should
promote
be,
this.
yeah, is us going, "Oh,
Oh,
oh, oh, Tasha. Oh,
oh,
I've been there. Honey."
oh, Natalia. I know I know it's hard to imagine two people as beautiful and sexual as me and Natalie could be so hurt by
Ever
people in this world,
wronged.
ever wronged
No.
in this way. But oh boy, were we. Natalie has the battle scars to tell you, and I have a play.
And that's beautiful. That's so gorgeous for both of us.
We love it for both of us.
For all of us.
For all of us. All right. On that note, let us take a quick break.
Really, I beg to differ with you.
How do you mean?
You're the top.
Yeah?
You're an arrow color. You're the top. You're a Coolidge dollar. You're the nimble tread of the feet of Fred Astaire.
And we are back. So I'm glad you brought up Pierre. I never really understood in the tent at the time
Mhm.
why Pierre closed out the show. Wonderful as Scott was. I think I
Yeah.
was just so in my Phillipa Soo, like, why is she not singing the Avita
Absolutely.
Coda? Like,
Actresses.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We
And,
love,
and there,
we love
yes.
actresses.
And it wasn't until Broadway with Josh Groban that I understood the finale and why it was there. Because for me, the balance actually shifted. I felt that Pierre, as Josh Groban, became the heart of that show for me more than Danae as Natasha. And I enjoyed Danae's performance, but I will talk about that more later.
Mhm.
And then watching it at the library with Dave as Pierre, I was like, oh, it's been him the whole time. He is the arc the whole time. Like, Natasha's the action, he is the message.
Yes. Yes.
Because his opening song, I remember, especially because like the prologue is so funny and charming, and like the show is a lot funnier than people realize. I think because
Yes.
they hear like the esotericism of
Right.
the mixed genres of the score, and it's War and Peace. I'm like, no, it's fucking funny,
Yes.
and exciting. But Pierre's like song is like sort of the first not downer, but like it's
Mhm.
he's going through a midlife crisis. He has depression and this
Yes.
crisis of conscience,
Oh,
and
God.
that's
I used to be
you can't really make that
better,
song
I
a
used to
banger
be
though.
better. I used
Used
to be better. God, oh,
I
this
pity
score.
you. I pity
I'm
me.
gonna
I pity
get.
you.
I'm gonna freaking get back in like it's 2014, 15. I can't wait to dive all the way back in. Oh, oh God, it just rules.
It does. At the end of the day, Natasha
I
Pierre The
just,
Great Comedy 1812 just rules.
it simply, it rocks, it rolls.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
rules. And what else do you want from
I'm-
a
I
damn
think
score?
Yeah, from a damn score. I think the thing that's really impressive about what Malloy does with the show is that having not known anything about the characters in War and Peace, I got a good idea of who these characters were in the
Yes.
show already. Reading about who they are prior to these events makes certain things make more sense. So, like for Pierre, he is one of the many illegitimate children of this like major Russian nobleman
Mhm.
who is this man's favorite child, and thus he like gets to go abroad and study and all these things, but he's awkward and he doesn't really get how society works. So like he's learned and he's loved and he's sheltered, but he's like, he doesn't fit in, and he's heavier and he's like a little homely. And then to top it all off, his father dies and leaves him his entire extraordinarily vast fortune. And he becomes this like target for society women to marry, which is how he ends up with Helene.
Right.
And like people who ignored him are now trying to be his best friend. And he gets like a Natasha, he gets swept up in it at first and then realizes, oh, not only do I not like the people around me, I don't like the life I've inherited. And which is like, obviously champagne problems of, oh, I'm so rich and whatever. But like
Yeah.
depression is depression. You look around and you hate the life
Yes.
you have, like it affects you. And
Yes.
and that is sort of where he's at, is that he's part of the reason why Pierre is not the action for so long is he is comatose. He is removing himself from everything. It's the only thing he can do to kind of self-preserve is I don't like anything around me, so I'm just not going to be a part of it for a while. And it's not until he learns of what's happened with Natasha that he's thrust into action, that he's kind of forced into action by Maria of like, oh, it's not just about me anymore. People I care about are now being affected
Are
by
getting
my
hurt. Yeah.
by my laissez-fairness. And so I have to go into action now. And that is why the show does end with him. And that beautiful scene between him and Natasha with the simple piano. My God. And the thing about the score is also, Malloy has said himself, like, he said part of what makes War and Peace a great novel is not like necessarily the plot, but like Tolstoy's writing, the way he describes things. He's like, so I decided to have characters sing actions and descriptions mostly as a cheat because I wanted to include as much of Tolstoy as I could. But the
Yeah.
beauty of that is you get a lot of very accurate dialogue from the novel. And I love in the Pierre Natasha scene, which is so simple and reminds you how young she is because she's just come out of the other side of having poisoned herself and getting rescued from that. And so she's pale, she's sickly, she's like in a simple little nightgown, her hair's in a braid. She's no
Yeah.
longer done up like a hot thing. She's just a child, and she's knows that everything that everyone was so excited for her is now ruined. Andre has broken off. She already broke off the engagement, and Andre will not take her back. And when Pierre asks her, "Did you love that bad man?" Anatole is his brother-in-law, everyone, in case you didn't make the connection. Well, we should maybe do like a quick family tree in a second, which they did do in the program, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but he already knew that Anatole sucked as a human, right? But it was always like entertaining for him because the women that Anatole would seduce were never people Pierre cared about.
Right.
And so when he asks Natasha, "Did you love that bad man?" part of it is him like, placating her, but also he's like, I need to know that you, this person who I think is a good person, did not know who Anatole was and see that and go, yeah, that's amazing. It's like, that gives me less faith in humanity. And her response is, don't call him bad.
Yeah.
And
But I
then,
don't know.
but I
I don't know.
don't call him bad, but
I
I don't know.
Right. I know what I thought he was, but I'm
Yeah.
realizing how little I actually know about anything, about how this world works, about how men work. It's just so,
Yeah.
oh
Because
God,
that whole journey with her after the abduction of Anatole saying, I'm going to take you away. We're going to get an elopement. And Sonia finds out, she tells Maria, and Maria puts a stop to it. And then we have In My House, which is the first time that someone's actually like, well, Sonia's also kind of doing it between Natasha and Sonia, but Natasha's not hearing it. But like Maria lays it out very cleanly for her of like, why didn't he come to the house and ask for your hand? You're not kept under lock and key. And Andre said you're free to refuse him at any point. Like, you didn't have to do this. The fact that he's doing this proves the kind of morals he has.
that his intentions are not right.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And, like, the fact that he wouldn't do this publicly. Like, this didn't have to be crazy like this. And then when Maria finds out from Pierre that Anatole is married already, and Maria tells Natasha, that's when everything finally breaks. Because first Natasha's like, that's not true. It can't be true. And she decides to poison herself, not out of I've lost my love, but out of the world just makes no
Shame.
sense anymore. Yeah, shame in the world makes no
Yes.
sense. And I always loved that, because it is in the novel that she regrets doing it, and she goes to Sonia and she's like, I poisoned myself and I decided, JK, can we do something about this? But I love the moment in the show because it's so quick. But like I remember Phillipa, because it's during the scene between Pierre and Anatole, Natasha comes out in this brief moment. She has a water glass. She pours the arsenic into it. And I just remember Phillipa drinking it through tears, putting it down, and in a single beat, grabbing her throat and running off stage.
And going,
like,
throw up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like
going,
regretting it
no,
immediately.
no.
Yeah. Just like she made an impulsive, made an impulsive decision. She's like, I don't know what to do. And then she's like, oh no, it was not that choice.
Yeah.
Anatole come back betrayed. And it was and like it was a moment of like, I've been there, not that extreme, never gotten that far, but
Yeah.
of just like
Yeah.
of going, oh, I need to make a bold choice because nothing makes sense anymore. And then I make the choice. I'm
Yes.
like, oh, this was a mistake.
Yes. Just
Yeah. But
I
that's the
feel
stuff that
in
makes
this
good drama.
moment that I'm tired of living, but I'm scared of dying.
How dare you? Oh no, man, River.
Oh
No.
no.
Oh no. Guys, that will be it. Well, by the time this episode will come out, the performance at Green Room will already happen. So I was gonna be like, guys, wait till you hear my old man River. 342. Well, Natalie does interpretive dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The
But
way that the song should always be done.
there's always be interpretive dance. But we finished with Natasha and Pierre, and he goes out into the snow and he sees the Great Comet. And what do we think he learns from this moment, Natalie? From his interaction, from this story, and then from seeing the comet?
It feels to me one of those moments where you remember how huge the world is versus all of your problems and everything that you are going through. And it's just a sign of time changing. It's just like this. Also, the lyric, "This bright star having traced its parabola," like this thing has found its path, has gone on its path, and perhaps the world can rewrite its own path as well, the world around me. And just like the wonder of nature. I think Pierre being so isolated and so in his books, you forget sometimes that you can step outside and see beauty and you
Yeah.
look up and remember to be alive and that you're a part of it and you don't have to be constantly escaping into it. The way that Pierre interacts with, his books in the show feels like in modern times someone that is depressed will be like, I'm on my phone scrolling all day. You know what I mean? And now it's like, oh, I would love for someone that is depressed to be like, let me read a book versus being on my phone. But I feel like in those days they're responding to it as like, oh, this incel on his phone all day
Yeah.
long. But yeah.
Well, you know how people say online, like, touch grass?
Yeah.
He's
Touching grass.
Yeah, he's touchy grass at the end. And I think that touch grass isn't necessarily a dig. It's more of a slap in the face of like, you are too inside of yourself right now, and you need to go out and experience some of the world. For any other reason, just to understand how big the world is and how bigger things
Yeah.
are than you and this moment. And that shouldn't be a shock, and that shouldn't be a depressing thing. Like, it is depressing in a sense to be like, oh, I'm one of billions on a planet that's one of billions of billions. But like, then it's also like, isn't that also a little freeing to know that while it's important to you, it's not as if everything is such high stakes all the time. Not everything has to be of the utmost importance. There's not going to be one thing in your life that's going to make it all worthwhile. It's all the little things. Like, and this great comet that you're seeing is going to be one of many comets throughout the history of the world. And how lucky it is that you get to see it. And and I think that it's a beautiful thing to yeah. If anything, the message of Great Comet is go touch grass.
Absolutely. Well, there's also I also you saying that reminded me of the Jemima Kirk Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
She did like an Ask Me Anything on Instagram, and there was one question that someone said, "What advice do you have for young women who are insecure?" And Jemima Kirk just responds, "I think you guys might be thinking about yourselves a little too much." And I'm like, that might be it too. Of just, Pierre, you might be thinking about yourself a little too much. And
Yeah.
look beyond. Look
Mm-hmm.
beyond. I get that you feel awkward. I get that you feel insecure around people. But maybe part of that is that you're thinking about yourself a little too much, and instead you can go talk to someone that is having a bad time and try to cheer them up, and you can go outside and look at a wonder
Yeah.
in the sky.
Look at this guy, baby. Because like I think he's so used to being made the fool of by everyone in his life, and that is also just a case of him surrounding himself with the wrong people. But
Yes.
I think it's so important for everyone to know that, like, 99.99% of the time, other people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about their own stuff. So there's
Correct.
no need to get in your head about the correct moment to go out and do something or meet someone or talk to someone. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. So that's just okay. I have my notes here from the Broadway viewing party.
Oh.
Yes, the curvature platforms and the stairs. It has been so many years. I forgot that at the start of the show, before we even got to the prologue, that they threw out those egg shakers at everybody.
Yeah, man. What a time.
What a time! And I used to hold on to mine from Casino, and yet I forgot all these years later. This is what it is to get
Yeah,
older.
no, I had a bunch of them, and then I moved apartments, and they all got lost in the move, and it was very sad, but also, like, was kind of a hoarder, would have been a hoarder. Um, but yeah, I felt so bad because I had been like, "Hey, if people want like an egg shaker from the production, like I can send it to you." And then I felt so bad. I like moved apartments and I lost all of them. And then there were like still people like on Twitter that were like, "Are you ever going to send the egg shaker?" And then I just fell off. And so if anyone listening to this remembers that era, know that they got lost and I am sorry. And I should have responded about it, but instead I got scared and stopped talking about it. But
You
yep,
have been studying.
they were all gone. Yeah.
Yeah, like Peter, you have been studying.
Yes.
Lots of weaving in the prologue. Oh, it's a different Andre at the Lincoln Center Library. So I asked my friend who is sorry, let me be a little more vague about this. I have a few friends who are in Great Comet on Broadway. We both do. I asked one of them, do not ask me who, because they did not consent to me sharing this interaction. I asked one of them, who's the Andre in the Lincoln Center video? Because I see you in it, so I know you're there. Do you
Yeah.
remember who was Andre? And the person says, yes, that the Andre was Ken Clark. I believe Nicholas Belton was out by the end of the run because there were a couple of different covers doing it the whole week, and there was a cover for the final performance. So I'm either Nicholas was sick or he was out, whatever. But so, hi Ken Clark, you did a very nice job. But I did notice he was Andre slash Prince Polkowski, and I was like, oh, hello, handsome man that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know what Nicholas Belton looks
Oh,
like.
Prince Wilkonsky is crazy.
And Mary is plain.
Andre's
Andre's
family totally
totally
messed
messed
up.
up. And Balaga's
Just for fun.
The war can't touch us here. That is the lyric that I feel like Rachel Chavkin took and ran away with in the best possible way.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments in all of staging, because the whole thing about Great Comet is like, yeah, there's a war going on. It's not really affecting anybody here. Pierre's the
Yeah.
only one who's ever really talking about it because he wants to go.
Yeah.
They do, I think there's a little bit of artistic license they do in the musical. They do not tell us that Andre's gone on basically a sabbatical by his daddy's demand. They tell us that he went away to fight, which he does eventually do. But what he fights after the events of Great Comet, where he then dies. But in the musical, Andre is off fighting, which is part of the reason why Natasha is so scared to have him go. But when they're at the opera and they're doing the ending of the section, so when Anatole has entered the opera house and they have that whole new section, the opera is happening on stage, but Andre has become one of the characters in the show, and he's in his army outfit as they're tearing fake blood sheets out of him. And it's this great way of, like, in the back of her head while this is happening, Natasha is still thinking about Andre and the danger he's in, but in a lot of ways it has become a presentational false story to her, whereas in no one else, he was right there for her to think about. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that moment when he comes out reading her letter in the snow, and then he goes off when she hits the high note. It's so beautiful. And then at the opera, he's back, but he's part of the performance. It's very round and round into the Fantastics, and you're
Mm,
realizing how far away in her mind Andre is becoming. And
yes.
it's just a great moment, and, like,
Ugh.
just little touches like that that Chavkin would do in the staging where don't forget, while all this is happening with champagne and caviar, there's a war happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Sorry, I'm looking at these notes again, trying to, like, find one more subject before we close out this part 1, and I just keep looking at me like, "No, I wanna talk about this more in my part 2." But, uh, I'm thinking, dippa uh, how many different Natashas and Pierres did you think, when you saw the show?
Hmm. I think I saw Pippa every time.
Mhm.
Um,
What a trooper.
I can't remember seeing in the tent someone other. I think I saw only Philippa and Danae, and the Pierres I saw Abelys 3 times, um Stangland twice, Groban like 3 times, and then Dave Malloy, I saw the final
Mm,
week. I never got to see him at the tents, but
yeah.
um I saw him the final week on Broadway and lost my mind.
It's
And
very true.
then Heath, um my best friend Heath, who, like, I'm not telling any tales out of school, so I can say their name.
Mhm.
Um, Heath brought me backstage when Dave was in the show, and I got to meet Dave Malloy for the first time, and I went so crazy. I was so overwhelmed because by that point I had been obsessed for so long. So getting to meet him was very, very special to me, and I have now gotten to, like, interact with him in person more times and online more times as I've become an even bigger fan from being obsessed with Octet and then being obsessed with Three Houses. I'm just
Mhm.
like full on stan. But to meet him for the first time after being like that made me love musicals again, and I'm a as you know, I am a musical theater scholar obsessive of many, many years, but I went through, like, a period where I went, "I don't know if this is for me anymore," and then
Yeah.
it really brought back my love.
If I'm being honest, I'm kinda going through that stage right now with musical theater. Like, I'm a little bit
Mhm.
in my PR stage with modern musical theater, so I
Yeah.
need a new great comet to come in and comet into my face.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like that's where we end part 1
I
with
think
the
that's where we end part 1.
with the calm shot.
With the cum shot all over my 1812. Yeah, okay. So we will go on more about Great Comet and 1812 in part 2, specifically more about the Broadway production, some of the changes, and my notes here. Natalie, 2 questions. First is, where can the listeners find you if you want them to find you?
Ooh, the listeners can find me at NWalks on Instagram. I have no other uh social media at this point. I wiped my Twitter. It's all gone. The Library of Alexandria burned many years ago. Uh TikTok I do not use. I'm a hag. I can't do it. But if this is gonna be being posted after November 14th, then I can say for uh December, I am going to be doing a limited edition Substack that will be an advent calendar every day of December. It's going to be called Mental Extravagance, which is based on Joan Crawford in her book, basically described hyperfixation, but called it being mentally extravagant. So every day in December, if you want to subscribe to the Substack, I will be in your inbox every day with a hyperfixation or recommendation from far outside the zeitgeist. So,
I Love that. And if you guys haven't already subscribed to our Substack for Broadway Breakdown, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. But yes, listen, Natalie's such a wonderful writer, so by all means, please check that out in December if you can. We also have a Discord, so make sure to check that out. I'm hoping to be able to post some footage from November 14th because it's shaping up to be a really bonkers evening. I think it's going to be fun. It'll be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like less than 3 weeks, more than 2 weeks away, and I am confident in my throat that she will heal by then. She's been through worse.
Absolutely. She's gonna rise.
I mean,
She's
she's
gonna
pretty.
rise. You're getting all of this illness out of the way now, honestly.
Yeah.
You're getting it all out of the way now so that you're gonna be pristine Daye on the night.
Oh, did you say pristine Daye?
Yeah, bitch.
How? Wait, did you
I'm a
just come up with that?
sicko. I'm a sicko. Yes. Yes,
How
of
is-
course I came up with it.
How
How
has
many
no one
other
done that as a
slurs?
drag name? Please welcome to the stage, Pristine Daye. My God. And Natalie, I was groomed by my voice teacher in high school, so it all fits. And guess what? He dead now, so like it's fine.
That rules. Rest in piss, brother.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that on the How I Learned to Drive episode because it'll be what relevant. No, it's fine. It's fine. But no, like I will be slender from my throat injury and food poisoning and gastritis. The throat will be healed from the laryngitis. No, it'll be a good time. I'm very excited for it. I feel like I want to say like one last thing about Comet before we eventually close out. While I talk, think about the diva you want to close this out with today. But we'll talk about this more in part 2 a bit. But like think about for a second, guys, when I talk about like the talent aliens of the world and people who are also very talented, but like come out of like cookie cutter programs to like train to be hired to get as many jobs as possible, and think about all of the special folks who came out of this cast of Great Comet, who we now look at as some of the primes of the generation, the Amber Grays, the Phillipa Soos, Shayna Taubes, people who just have this like unique sound and unique look and perform in a way that is passionate and earnest and isn't just safe. And I think that is something to relish. And when you're casting a Great Comet, yes, you want to do this phenomenal music justice, but you also want to cast personalities and you want to cast people who are going to be game. This is a show where you have to be game to do it. If you had to play a role, Natalie, just one, what would it be?
God. I mean, I feel like we're gonna get into it in part 2 because are we doing dream casting in part 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Because my kind of thing is I kind of think like it all needs to be like gender free. Like everything is whatever, because when we get into that, because of what you're saying, like I think Comet has to work best if you kind of don't know any of the people that well. So when we get into maybe we'll just do the dream casting bit here because it's going to be boring when I actually get to it because I don't have a dream cast. I'm like, I don't want to know anyone. So if I'm in it, then I kind of want to be like Pierre. I want it to be like, I don't know how this will sound, you know? I don't want to, I think that's the magic of it. That's why I was so bummed that I didn't get to see it in London because I hadn't heard of any of those people. And then I saw a video of the Sonia from that production. And I was like, who is this? What is this sound? This is so thrilling. And I'm like, there are a ton of brilliant young musical theater actors around right now that I'm sure would sing the hell out of it, be great. But I just love like the very punk aspect of that original production of having no idea what sounds were going to come out of anybody, and just, it was just such a thrill. And so I feel like for me, I'm like, I know how I would sound on X, Y, and Z things. Any of the roles traditionally played by women, I am sort of like, I will sort of be doing a bastardization of the original ones just because they're so iconic in my ear. But then I go, what would my Pierre sound like? I
Yeah.
would have to be starting from scratch because we would have to figure out key or whatever. And so I'm like, I kind of think Pierre. I kind
I'm
of
so
think
glad you
my
said
Pierre
that.
would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. My dream role in that show is Natasha. I just
Well,
like I love
yeah. Well, let's get at it.
let's get out of it. Like, who doesn't want to be the pretty girl who everyone says is pretty and sing the most amazing music and suffer and pine and almost die? All that's just amazing. But I would say
Yes.
I probably would have more fun and would typically be cast in a gender bent production as Maria. I'd be honest, and Maria's amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
am I gonna complain about playing Maria? Absolutely not. But like, I I think it's more like I would want to be Maria doing the letter to Pierre. Or in my house, like I also want the Natasha in my house going up to that super crazy high note. Go away, go away. I'm not doing any of it justice because my throat is fucked. But I can sing everyone, I swear. But I love the idea of a gender bend and just like everyone fucking around with it and finding
Yeah.
out. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure, and I think the only person on the music side of that who would love that is Dave Malloy because he
Yeah.
hears things like that. He's like, oh my god, a new puzzle, let's go for it. Whereas like
Yes.
the music director's probably, oh my god, all the new arrangements I have to do, and Malloy's
Yeah,
all the new
poor-
arrangements we have to do.
Yeah, poor Or Matthias.
I know.
The
Poor man,
genius
poor
Or
man.
Matthias, who made Octet work somehow by some magic. My God.
I know.
But wait, just because you went to that line, I do have to say, like, it's so funny that and so teenage that she goes, go away, go. I'm also giving you octave down. Go away, go away. You all hate and despise me. It's
Mhm.
not me that I hate you guys right now. It's actually you guys hate me. You
Yeah.
guys hate me. Say you don't hate me, and then I'll stay maybe. But for now, go away because you guys hate me.
Oh my God,
This is
everyone
on you
hates me.
guys. Everybody hates me. You guys hate me. I'm not even doing anything. Yeah.
It's very
It's
yeah.
perfect. It's perfect.
So in Natalie's show, her critically acclaimed show at Joe's Pub, and I'm saying critically acclaimed because there were two critics there, me and Juan Ramirez, and we both acclaimed it. But but she had a section that was tying up opera arias with Real Housewives, specifically Housewives of New York, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She also had text on screen that came very hard for me specifically because I don't watch Real Housewives. And it was saying, like, get over yourself and grow up. You start watching Housewives. And I remember sitting there going, ow, Natalie Walker. You and Ellie Gordon, two of the most intelligent people I know, go so hard to the mat for Housewives, which is the only reason I'm even considering it. Only reason. But it is like housewivesy of like the scene you're causing is like you made drama, and rather than saying I hate you all, it's like, well, now I fucked up and everyone hates me now.
You're all being so rude to me right now.
Yeah.
You are all being so rude to me right now. Oh,
How dare you speak ill of the man who was trying to steal me from this home just now? No, go away, go away, go away. And then throws herself down on the sofa. It's great. And like, of
well, I
course,
guess you guys all hate me, so
and it's,
sorry I'm the worst person in the world. Sorry you guys all think I'm the worst person that ever lived. So,
but then it gets sad because then
Yes.
Maria tries to help her
course.
and Natasha sings she was not asleep. She was staring out the window waiting for him, and he doesn't
Mhm.
show.
No.
The heiress vibes here of just waiting
Yeah.
for him, that man to show up in the carriage. Never comes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why you
like
gotta walk up the stairs slowly at the end.
gotta walk up those damn stairs slowly. But what was I gonna say? It's also like tricky as this score is, and the heights that it makes you go in your range. It never feels like it's using you for your agility.
No, it's not like it's not the type of thing where they're having you hit a big note so the audience starts clapping in the middle of it and
Yeah.
gets tricked into feeling like lifted up. It feels very Sondheimian in that it is all it's rising when the emotion is rising. You're hitting a big note out of nowhere because there's been a massive shift that has happened. Like it all feels very dramaturgically compelled which is such an exciting thing, that it's not just about here's my big trick note, except for the times that it is, because Anatole is the type of person that goes, here's my big trick note to make you want to fuck me,
Yeah.
to make you go, who is this sex alien that walked in the room and did a big note? That's crazy.
I do appreciate
must
that.
have him. Yeah.
I appreciate that Malloy musically makes Anatole the kind of swoon-worthy hunk where he's not always a high tenor, he's not always a bass baritone. He goes up and down because he's also keeping you on your toes. You never know what his angle's going to be.
Absolutely. It's so thrilling. And Lucas Steele did it so beautifully. And I was so obsessed with him too. And I was like, you're an alien from outer space.
Also, if I may objectify him for a second, his ass in those pants, my God.
My God, the Fiero's wish.
Yeah.
Fiero wishes.
He wishes. Somebody ordered an ice cream cake. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Because it's
My
two
God.
perfectly scooped pieces of ice cream cake in them pants. Yeah. Dead in a ditch. Jonathan Bailey, who? Don't know her. No, it's great. We'll talk more about this in part 2, I swear. So thank you everybody for listening. Again, if you want to follow us on Instagram at @MattCoplik, usual spelling, 5-star rating, review, always helps. Substack, Discord. Natalie, what diva are we closing out with for part 1?
We are closing out. Do I choose the song as well, or I just choose?
You can if you want.
I would like to submit Donna Murphy doing "Me in My Town."
Okay then.
I'm sorry. A lady has responsibilities, and I have a responsibility to the Donna Murphy community.
Okay. Okay then. I am okay with that. It's always a little hard to find good audio from Boots. So from a slime tutorial, but there is a solid one. So I will make it happen because Natalie.
And I'll choose a formally recorded one for the next.
But any formally recorded you want, baby.
Yes.
All right. So Donna Murphy it is. All right. So we will see you guys for part 2 next week. And make sure you check out this video on YouTube so you can see that moment where I'm in my underwear. All right. All right. Bye.